Shalom, everyone. For about 4 years now, the subject of biblical cosmology, which most refer to as the flat earth, has been covered extensively by many channels. And this is something that my good friend and brother in YaHuWaH, who has the channel C. Stephen Wall, informed me about and began looking into it and so forth. And I just found it absolutely fascinating. And, you know, once again, I was not too surprised that this was the case. Just because it is a satanic conspiracy, and this is just one more level of the deception. Now, biblical cosmology being the earth being stationary, a circle or a compass as it is described in the Bible, rather than a ball and enclosed under the firmament. Okay, so I just want to share something today that I think probably many who are familiar with this subject may have not heard. And it was about a month ago or so, I was watching a 2-hour presentation by Rob Skiba. He has many lengthy presentations on this subject and other subjects. He is my favorite researcher on the subject of biblical cosmology. And he brought something out that I had not heard before. And I'm going to leave a link to that video and just check it out. I mean, the whole thing is worth a watch, of course, but, you know, from the 51-minute and 10-second mark to the 52-minute and 10-second mark is where he brings this out. So I just want to bring this out here because, you know, it's very interesting. It's one more dimension to the word rakia itself. Now, rakia is the Hebrew word for where we see firmament in the English Bible. You know, or in the English versions of the Bible where we see firmament, the Hebrew word associated with that is Strong's 7549 rakia, spelled R-A-Q-I-Y-A. Okay, and the definition of that is the visible arch of the sky, the visible arc or arch of the sky. Okay, now interesting when I was looking at this yesterday, that the word rakia comes from Strong's 7554. Raka, which means to pound the earth, by analogy to expand, by implication to overlay with thin sheets of metal, beat, make broad, spread abroad, stamp, or stretch. Okay, so the Hebrew words, now what Mr. Skiba brings out is that each letter in the Hebrew words have a meaning unto themselves, okay? And the words, the Hebrew wording for the word rakia is resh, kof, yod, ayin, okay? And the definition of resh is the highest or most important. For kof, it is last, final, future, and yod is work. And the Hebrew word ayin is see, understand, reveal. Okay, so the word rakia, resh, kof, yod, ayin, okay, if you were to put that into a sentence, the firmament or rakia represents the highest, most important, last, final, future work to see, understand, reveal. Okay, so in other words, this, in the word itself, rakia, this is the final major revelation for YaHuWaH to reveal. Now, I found that very interesting. Again, I'll leave a link. Listen to Rob Skiba bring this out. You know, this is the only place that I've heard this before, so that's why I wanted to discuss it a little bit. So, I just want to bring out a few verses here regarding the firmament in the Word. This is from the book of 2 Baruk, which is in the Sefer. 2 Baruk, chapter 21, verse 4. O you that have made the earth, hear me, that have fixed the firmament by your word, and have made firm the height of the heaven by the RUACH, that have called from the beginning of the world that which did not yet exist, and they obey you. 2 Baruk 21:4. Also, this is a commonly known verse associated with this subject. Job chapter 37, verse 18. Have you with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass. So in the book of Job, the sky is described as strong and as a molten looking glass. And I believe in the NASB, it describes it as strong like a hard mirror. From the book of Enoch. Now, There are different versions, or I mean, the book, when you get the book of Enoch from different places and so forth, the chapters are broken up into different ones. So when I say I'm going to be reading right now from chapter 18, verse 8, this is from the Sefer. So Enoch writes, I perceived at the extremity of the earth the firmament of heaven above it. Then I passed on towards the south. So I take that to mean that when he sees where the ends of the earth are, at the extremity of the earth, the firmament of heaven meets the end or the extremity of the earth. Now, an interesting parallel to that is Enoch chapter 32, verse 2. To the east of these beasts, I perceived the extremities of the earth, where heaven ceased. The gates of heaven stood open, and I beheld the celestial stars come forth. I numbered them as they proceeded out of the gate, and wrote them all down, as they came out one by one according to their number. I wrote down their names altogether, their times and their seasons, as the angel Uriel, who was with me, pointed them out to me. Now, I just think it's interesting in the first sentence there, to the east of these beasts, I perceived the extremities of the earth where heaven ceased. So I would take that to mean that when he is referring to heaven, he is referring to the firmament. Okay, so once again, the firmament meets at the extremities of the earth, and in this case, it's described as where heaven ceased. All right? So, like I said, this subject has been covered extensively and thoroughly and very well by many YouTube channels out there, and I just wanted to bring this out about the word rakia itself. But, it's like some people will say, well, what difference does it make what the shape of the earth is or any of this? Now, I'll tell you why it's important, because if we are led to believe, most people are still believing in this false version of cosmology, and the effect that has is that they throw the Bible out as if it's a fairy tale. Okay? Genesis 1:1 reads, in the beginning God created heaven and earth, or in the beginning YaHuWaH created the heavens and the earth. Now, for those who have been led to believe in the Big Bang cosmology, heliocentrism, a spinning ball earth flying pointlessly through space and so forth, then it's like you're going to read the very first verse in the Bible and be like, well, that's fairy tale. That isn't true, because we know our science now tells us this is what the truth is regarding where we come from and our origins and so forth. So it's an attack on the Word. It's an attack on His Word in the very first chapter of the Bible. You read Genesis chapter 1, and that does not jibe with what we've been taught by, what people refer to as science. Okay, so right there, if it's this important to the enemy, to the beast system, to go to these lengths to fake the Apollo missions and so forth and give us these, false images of Earth, then it is an important subject. And it is important because many people have been led astray and led into atheism or agnosticism and so forth. And I was an agnostic for the longest time, most of my adult life, until I got to the age of 43, about 5 years ago. And I realized after learning about the satanic system that we're living under, that was the avenue that he brought me through to lead me into the faith, to lead me to the truth of the Word. Now, for many others, though, it has been this very subject. Learning about the true cosmology and learning, from tests and so forth that there is no curve out there. And, Rob Skiba has shared a lot regarding how atheists have come to him and said, well, this subject has brought them to the Messiah. This subject has brought them to, most people refer to him as Jesus, his name being YaHuWaH, okay? This has brought them to the Bible to want to study that and so forth. And as well, the channel The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction has put up several videos about testimonies from people regarding this very thing, about learning about this subject and how this subject has brought them into the faith. So this is a very important subject. And, embedded in the word, rakia itself, like we just went over, like what this video is about. I'm going to go over it one more time. I'll just read it one more time. So the firmament, or the rakia, according to the wording, resh, Kaf Yod Ayin is it represents the highest, most important, last, final, future work to see, understand, reveal. So, I take that to mean this is the last major revelation before Messiah's coming. I mean, this subject pretty much destroys the entire validity of the system that we live under. I mean, the two most basic fundamental tenets of this scientific system that we live under is evolution and this version of cosmology, neither of which are true. Okay? So this is why this is an important matter. It exposes the beast system for what it is. Okay. Mark chapter 13, verses 33 through 37. Take heed, watch and pray, for you do not know when the time is, as a man going abroad, having left his house and given authority to his servants and to each his work, and commanded the doorkeeper to watch. Watch therefore, for you do not know when the master of the house is coming, in the evening, or at midnight, or at the crowing of the cock, or in the morning, lest, coming suddenly, he should find you sleeping. And what I say to you, I say to all, watch. Okay, 4 out of 5 verses right there. Mark chapter 13, 33 through 37. Messiah tells us to watch. Watch for the signs. Watch for the signs of the times. Watch for the signs of his coming. And the firmament itself, the revelation of this matter should be something, that tells us to watch for he is at the doors, okay? Also, I believe it's Matthew chapter 16, verse 3, where he says, we are supposed to be able to discern the signs of the times. Well, this very subject is a sign of the times. Now, also, I want to include a couple links in the description box, as well as this Rob Skiba video, to a couple teachings on the Father's name and the Son's name, both by the channel Messenger of the Name. The teaching on the Father's name is Restoring the Creator's Name, Hashem Revealed. And the teaching on the Son's name, the name of YaHuWaH and why it is pronounced as such, is entitled, What is His Son's Name? Well worth a watch, and thank you for listening.